Hey, it's Chucky HJ here. Dad and I are doing a Billy Madison thing. I'm actually recording this from a Four Seasons in Sedona in a hot air balloon competition this weekend. Normal stuff for me. Let's win a World Series. Alright, it is off-season time. We're at October 31st. Got a lot to cover in this episode. We're going to get through arbitration. We're going to do some free agency. We're going to do some player development lab stuff. We already have a handful of players here in our international scouting practice facility or whatever the hell. So we'll see how these guys shake out. Now for player development lab, this is new, so it's been pretty fun to mess around with. Personally, I like kind of focusing on the younger guys in the majors, maybe in AAA. And we'll take a look here at Ezequiel Tovar. I'll put these guys through either a hard or medium training regimen or whatever. And then after that completes, I'll usually put some young prospects in the development lab, but just usually working on their defense. So we got Ezequiel Tovar here. We are going to focus on this power. We want that pop, baby. He is 23 years old. I think that is ripe for the development lab, and we're going to generate bat speed. Sterling Thompson, I think we're going to trade. I have a trade planned for his ass, so we're not going to put him in the development lab. Definitely going to look at Drew Romo here. Want to get that eye up. I think he's not going to be a power hitter, but if we can help him get on base, I believe that's plate discipline. We're definitely going to put Jordan Beck in there. Between power and eye, I am going to go with power, Coors Field, so the more we can get that bat speed up, the better. The next player we're going to add is Victor Vodnik. He is a 25-year-old reliever. Had a really good, considering his Coors Field, he had a really nice season for us, and we're going to try and work on his control. And Nolan Jones will throw in there as well. We're going to put him in there to try and avoid Ks. So I believe that is his two-strike approach. Can't decide whether or not I want to put Ryan Ritter in there. I think I am, only because we saw such a boost in his abilities last year, despite not really showing the potential in the numbers. So we are going to work on his quality of contact because he had some development room. I should have shown this earlier, but take a quick peek at the financial sitch. Right now, we have $42 million. So we had a lot of money come off the books this offseason, which is super exciting. That's not even including arbitration decisions, so this could definitely go up. I don't intend to spend all of that available money on free agents. That would be crazy. I'm gonna try and really bump up our scouting budget, and primarily the development budget first, scouting budget kind of secondary. In terms of our other financials over here in the development lab, you can see that it doesn't have us set to have international scouting budget, which we absolutely want one. So that will drop our budget slightly, but that's okay. Okay, here we are, the next item of the to-do list in the offseason, and it is to trade Sterling Thompson and Hunter Goodman. So we'll check in. Sterling Thompson is a decent-looking first baseman, but the reality is we're pretty stocked up on first baseman. We have Nolan Jones, we have Chris Bryant, we have several other guys that can play first base, so I don't really see room for him on the team. And honestly, these guys are kind of a dime a dozen, in my opinion, just like okay hitting first baseman in this game. He didn't have much of an opportunity at the majors, but was pretty bad with the opportunity that he had, but was a good minor league player. We're also trading Hunter Goodman. Kind of the same situation, has a pretty good hitting profile, but as an MLB player, the only position he could sort of play is left field, but we're good there. So I just don't see any room for him, despite raking in the minor leagues. So I think that hopefully gives him some value. Jackson Cox is a throw-in. And then the return coming from the San Francisco Giants here, the main piece is Sergio Mendoza. So he's a 16-year-old pitcher, so just a lottery ticket, just a lottery ticket. but someone who might be pretty dang good in the future. Kind of similar here with the catcher, Sanchez. I think a nice little throw-in. And then RJ Dabovich, maybe I should have actually said he was the main piece in this deal, but he is looking nasty. A 25-year-old relief pitcher with filthy pitches. The only thing that's a little bit concerning is his control, and he's a fly ball pitcher, which not great for Coors Field, but I think considering the whole trade package, this is a good one. And our assistant GM does not have a strong opinion. Well, way to do your freaking job. And here are the arbitration decisions we have to make. Probably going to be some tough decisions here. We are going to non-tender probably several of these guys. We'll start with Ryan Feltner and just work our way down. Feltner had a 5.75 ERA, 17 losses. Not that losses matter, but there's just nothing very exciting about him. He's not particularly expensive, but we are going to go ahead and withdraw. For some of these guys, I have kind of checked if there's any value in trading them, and really in a realistic sense, the answer is no from what I was searching around at. Dakota Hudson is an absolutely hell to the fuck no. He had a horrible, horrible season. Peter Lambert's also going to be a no. His profile is just like the most saddest, mediocre pitcher I've ever seen, and he was also shitty. So goodbye, non-tendered. Cal Quantrill's, like, he's expensive and his stuff is bad. He's not popular. If he was, I would consider keeping him. I mean, it's just too expensive, so we're going to let him go. So far, we haven't kept anyone, so maybe I thought this was going to be a little bit tougher than it really is. I mean, Austin Gomber, look at this profile. He does lead by example, but his play sucks, and he wants 3.8 milli. Justin Lawrence is going to be a keep, so we get to the first guy that we are going to hang on to. He is slider sinker, just filthy pitches, but the control could be better. 4 ERA, Coors Field. He is going to get contract. I don't know if this would be considered. I know I said I would keep this realistic. I'm curious what people think on this. The trick that a lot of people know is generally if you offer him just a little bit less than what the estimate is set at, they will accept that. I'm doing it just to kind of assure that it doesn't end up being a little bit higher, which is kind of a cheap move. But I do think most players do end up not going to arbitration. Nick Mears is someone I really want to think about here. Similar profile to Lawrence, but they had a really good year for us. And considering all the relievers that we have already non-tendered, I am going to tendy this guy up. Chicken tendered. Tyler Saucedo is the next one. He is a person I do want to hang on to because it's more of it's an ego thing. He was involved in a trade we made for German Marquez last year, and I did like his profile. I think he did not pitch well for us in 30 innings, but I'm gonna let my ego take over and give this guy some chicken tendies. Now, Nick Gordon is somebody I am going to just shop around. Okay, we are going to trade Nick Gordon for Nick Gonzalez. The reason being, Nick Gonzalez has a couple option years left, so I can keep him in the minors. And I can't do that with Nick Gordon. And we're going to throw in this minor leaguer to squeeze some cash out of the Pirates. And this is trade number 2. And the final arbitration decision that we need to make is Sam Hilliard. He's not someone I'm super interested in keeping. He does have a pretty nice defensive profile, but he doesn't look like he's really ever going to be able to hit. I think our outfield's getting kind of full, bud. So we are going to give him the Tendy special and say goodbye. Ooh, hello. Bob Henley, our third base coach, has just sent me an email saying the Braves have offered him a job as manager. Good for you, Bob. Okay, Bob Henley, he wants to take a job with the Braves so bad. Well, you can't quit because you're fucking fired. All right, let's check in here with the awards from last season. Spoiler, we didn't win any. The AL's top rookie last year was Wyatt Langford, not a surprise. Hit 291 with a 351 on base, slugging 590, so he freaking raked. Already max potential and max overall at age 23. That's incredible. The top rookie in the National League, the top rookie in the National League was Yoshinobu Yamamoto. That seems pretty realistic there. Looks like Jackson Churio, Joey Ortiz. You can see some other names. Michael Busch of the Cubs. Let's go. So the Cy Young in the National League also went to Yamamoto. I wonder if he won the MVP. No, it looks like Ellie De La Cruz won the MVP. And then Pablo Lopez of the Twins won it for the AL. And so the MVPs were Ellie De La Cruz and Gunnar Henderson. He's also maxed out. That's incredible. Just a ridiculous hitting season for him. 29 bombs. What did Ellie De La Cruz do? We might have to look at how many stolen bases he had. 6.8 WAR, 1 dotted, 132 RBIs, only 23 stolen bases. That's actually a little bit surprising, but I guess you don't steal when you're hitting 43 bombs. Insane. And he is not signed to an extension. Holy cow. What a season by Ellie De La Cruz. All right, next stop, we'll get through arbitration and then take another look at the squad. Okay, so it's free agency time. Now arbitration has completed. We can see officially what our money is at as we go into free agency here. We have $57 million to spend, which is incredible. Again, I want to really max out this budget, so we'll drop that all the way down to 27. I'm going to consider putting more money into the scouting budget, but next, let's just take a look at the squad to see where we have missing pieces. As you can see, compared to what our team looked like at the end of last year, we need essentially an entire pitching staff, and relievers seem to be okay on that front. We're missing 3 position players as well. Our DH is gone for now. That was Charlie Blackmon. That's going to be a difficult decision to make. And then we have, right now we could slot in Nick, but it looks like defensively and offensively, we really just need some bench players, and we got some of those sitting in the minor leagues. Because again, we'll take a look here. You can see in terms of overall in the minor league system, we have Amador, who I don't think is going to start opening day. We might just have someone like Trey Cabbage fill in. The other player that's exciting is Yanquiel Fernandez, and he is another guy. I'm not going to play day one because he really hasn't even been in AAA at all. But I don't want to block them with any free agency signings that are too big for our britches, because we really don't need to do much. We need to do a lot, but it's not all going to happen this offseason. I'll put it that way. Okay, and we're at everyone's favorite time of the offseason, and that is the international free agents entering the market. The time where you can build up that minor league depth with some young players. And here we have really just 2 players that look interesting to me. That's Pardo and E2. Now, the problem is these guys are probably too good for what I need right now. This dude wants $11 million, and he's a reliever, so I don't have any interest in him. And E2 wants $24 million. This is actually, this is tempting, just because you don't see guys as good as this every day. Realistically, so OSA has got him at 70, but it looks like our scout, even though his accuracy is low, has him at 80 potential. He has pop out his butt. He's got crazy defensive ratings all over the infield, and his range, this is like a generational defender. He wants $24 million. but he wants that for the next 9 years. We might be able to offer him lower, but I really have to look at our financial situation and see if this is wise. Okay, I did successfully talk myself out of making an offer on E2. I really want to, but I just am not ready to commit to a contract like that. Plus, Amador and Tovar are both infielders as well. They're already on the team. They're cheap. Not that I couldn't make room for someone of this talent. The more I talk about it, the more I want to do it. And I'm not going to. I'm not ready. We'll just take one last look at the money available. We don't have it. So we're moving on. We're not going to pick up that guy. But oof, that is exactly what you want to see when you are a team that is competing for a World Series as a player like that in international free agency. So our free agency mission is a pretty simple one. We want to bring in at least one pitcher. Obviously, we don't want to spend big on that pitcher. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and max out our scouting budget to see what that leaves us with. I think I'm gonna be super cheap. This team is gonna be terrible next year. Dad might fire me, but we're gonna be really cheap this offseason. We're gonna get an old, fucking beat down, veteran ass starting pitcher, and that's gonna be it in free agency. Big news on December 8th. Let's fucking go. We got the #1 pick in the draft next year. That is huge. We were projected to get #2 based on the percentages, and we slid up to 1. I feel like that never happens. That is awesome. Okay, it's time for the Rule 5 draft. We still haven't made an offer on a free agent because I was waiting to see if we could get someone pretty decent in this draft. Okay, Averson Arteaga is going to be the first pick we make in the Rule 5 draft. We have the second pick, so it gives us a nice advantage. I was between Arteaga and Funderburk. Oops, not you, Petey. I'm really torn here. Funderburk is someone who I feel like is going to be pretty solid. He was absolutely electric for the Twins last year with a 15.75 ERA, but you just feel like his profile, he's lefty, he should be a pretty good reliever, but you just don't see too many shortstops 21 years old in the Rule 5 draft with the ability to play a good shortstop and possibly hit okay enough. He has not performed well, but you know what? This is an absolute lottery ticket of a pick, and I'm a lottery ticket kind of guy. And it's kind of perfect because we just lost Coco Montes in the Rule 5 draft. I was okay with that possibility, and the Marlins scooped him up, so good for them. Continuing the draft here, my bet paid off. I was weighing who would be more likely to get picked in the first round, and I figured it would be the shortstop, and that works out well for me because we're going to get Funderburk. You've been Funderburked. And that will be the last pick we make in the Rule 5 draft. Okay, now that the Rule 5 draft is complete, we are going to actually sign a pitcher free agent finally. I know we picked up a closer in the draft, but I think there's still room for a veteran starter on this team. And just because it makes me very, very happy, it's going to be Kyle Hendricks. He's a good teammate who never misses a chance to golf. I don't think he's actually going to be good in Coors Field. In fact, real-life Kyle Hendricks would be an absolute nightmare in Coors Field. But I love Kyle Hendricks, so I want him to play baseball for the Rockies. And yes, that decision was made from my heart, but I do think it is a reasonable one. We wanted a veteran pitcher that we could pay a small amount of money to just secure the back end of the rotation. And while I don't think Kyle Hendricks would be a very great choice for the Rockies, I think it just fits what we're trying to accomplish, and we're not really trying to win next season. We've been getting a lot of trade offers for Chase Dolander, our pitching prospect who was drafted, I think, in 2023 by the Rockies. Hopefully that means good things. Quick update, I think, from some call-ups and perhaps the Rule 5 plus the Kyle Hendricks signing. I did have to dip into the scouting budget a little bit, so I lowered it to just give us a little bit of breathing room here for the remainder of the offseason and throughout the season. Okay, big news here on January 13th, right before international free agent signing. Kyle Hendricks has signed, so he is a Colorado Rocky. Let's go. Oh, big news from Dad on the 14th of January. He has decided to raise our budget. He's the best dad in the world. Let's go. We now have $23 million to spend. That is super exciting. So we're going to for sure put that money back into the scouting budget. And now we have $14 million, so we can make another move this offseason if we want to. And more breaking news on the same day, the Oakland Athletics have decided to move to Indianapolis, and they are renamed the Indianapolis Steelhawks. Interesting. Okay, well, that is a thing that has happened. All right, it's time for the international free agent signing. And I am usually the type that likes to just go all in and offer the maximum that I can to one player that I really, really like. In this case, that player is Juan Lujan. I was struggling to decide, but I think just his hitting profile, the combination of this hitting profile, and yes, most likely a first baseman in the long run, but he's a switch hitter, and he does what he needs to do in order to stay in shape. And I love that. Another player that I did like is Ishmael here. I liked his personality of other players looking up to him. Ultimately, I just decided that his defensive abilities were a little more limited compared to Juan. So we are going to offer him as much as we can and hope that is enough. Okay, and good news. Juan Lujan, the third baseman, has signed with us, so that is awesome. Hall of Fame voting results are in. The two inductees are Ichiro and Billy Wagner. Carlos Beltran just barely missing the cut. I don't think he will have much chance. And any notable players that dropped off here, well, you can take a look at the list. Final check at the money sitch. I have decided not to really do anything with Dad's additional money yet. I put what I could into scouting, and we have $12 million available to us going into the next season. So perhaps I will use that in a trade to dump some salary for next year, but we shall see. Ooh, okay, player development results are in. They're not looking good so far. Only two successful ones. That's Victor Vodnik managed to increase his control. I believe successful just means he bumped up to his potential, where outstanding means they actually grew potential. And here's a pretty good result as well. Nolan Jones also was successful with his two-strike approach, and no improvement from Ryan Ritter. Next stop will be opening day, and we will set our opening day roster and most likely have to make some cuts and waves as well. And on March 4th, we do have our first pretty disappointing development, a torn labrum for Prasecki. He was going to begin the season on the Major League team despite, being a AA pitcher the year before and not really doing well. I just needed him to be a starter and was willing to take a shot, he is 24 years old, but that is unfortunate news, and we'll have to see if that means we need to do somewhat of an emergency signing. So it's good. It's a good thing Dad gave us that extra cash. All right, spring training is at an end. We are on opening day. We'll do a quick prospect check-in here. We are stacked as far as hitters go. We have Jerome at 46, Fernandez at 19, Lujan already at 5. That is wild. Zach Veen at 66, and then Amador up at 11. So that is phenomenal. Let's see what it looks like on the pitching side, and it is just 1. So it looks like Dolander has fallen out of the top 100 pitching prospects, and Cam, who was our first third overall first round pick for us in the draft last year, and he finds his way onto the list. Here is the opening day pitching rotation. Kyle Hendricks is going to be our ace, so we are effed. Here is the opening day rotation, and we are in big shit. Kyle Hendricks is our ace, so that is terrifying. The rest of the starting rotation is obviously worse than that, and that is horrible. Bullpen-wise, we have Victor Vodnik here as the closer, and everyone else is, who knows what the hell is going to happen. Quick prospect check-in here. We are going to start with these three guys in AAA, but I don't know how long they're going to be there. Amador did drop in potential. I believe he was at 70 at the end of last season, so that's unfortunate. He's 21. That could come back. Fernandez, on the other hand, actually stayed the same potential, I think, but has had a bump in his overall. We actually do need a DH on the team this season, so he will fit, but he's never played in AAA, and I want him to start there. Zach Veen also hasn't played in AAA. His profile is fine, but he definitely could find a home on the Rockies if he plays well in the minor leagues or there is an injury. Here is our opening day lineup. We have Sean Bouchard starting in left field, and then he's going to DH against lefties. Tovar is our starting shortstop. Nolan Jones, Chris Bryant swapping between DH and left field. Then we have Jordan Beck, Drew Romo, Ryan Ritter at second base, Brenton Doyle, and against my better judgment, I am going to at least start the year with Arteaga. I want to see if he can get that potential up just a little bit, but he's definitely someone we might end up releasing. We got him in the Rule 5, so we can't send him to the minor leagues. Most likely once I think Amador is ready to come up, he will take the place of Arteaga unless something goes really well for Arteaga. Here is the opening day lineup. I do think the offense is looking a little bit better than the pitching. Ultimately, the pitching is going to keeps this team from winning 70 games even. The hitting looks like it could be okay, at least interesting. We have some newcomers in Drew Romo, Jordan Beck. They had time at the end of last year, but now they're going to have all season. Ryan Ritter is going to get a full season as well, so we can see how they do. And then Arteaga is going to play third base against righties. He is the first person we are going to release. He was a Rule 5 pickup, and he's already reduced in overall, so he'll be the first person we release if we want to make room for Fernandez or Amador. Ultimately, we'll probably want them both up in the majors sooner rather than later this season. So that could mean goodbye to one of these bench guys, Cabbage, Gonzalez, or Trejo. And the last thing we'll show in this episode is a reminder here for the goals. 2025, Dad wants us to play close to 500 ball. That's going to be pretty tough to do. Improve our runs against. That is going to be also really impossible with the pitching that we are probably going to have this season. Attendance increasing next year as well as these other ones. So thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, follow on Twitch at bestfriends420, and I'll see you next time. Fuck Chaz, bye.